Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Quintessentials Podcast, where we talk about stories that shape us. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan, and I just want to welcome you guys to the very first episode of our podcast, where me and my other co-host, Dom, pretty much just talk about ourselves and how we became friends. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Quintessentials Podcast. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the Quintessentials Podcast. I am your host. Well, actually, one of the hosts of this show. My name is JP, and the other host, let him introduce himself.
How you guys doing? My name is Dom, and I'm not gonna say my last name.
Right. We're trying to keep it, keep away from the governmental names and stuff. But yeah, welcome everyone to our very first podcast. We're gonna be real with you. This is actually the third time we're doing this, just because of technical difficulties and we're just getting started with the very first podcast. But just a quick introduction of what this podcast is. Quintessentials really is a amalgamation of just our passions, our culture, and just two young guys. I don't know.
Quintessential or quintessential is pretty much just a conversation about a lot of stuff. I know you guys may be listening to a lot of podcasts already. There are a lot of great podcasts there, but this is a little bit more with our culture. We are Filipino. Him and I are Filipino. I was born in the Philippines and grew up there and came here when I was 17. So you're going to get a lot of different perspectives when it comes to a lot of different topics that we're going to be talking about. It may be about entertainment, art, or a lot of stuff. So, yeah.
And so if you're wondering why we spelled it Quintessentials, is because the Filipino word for telling stories is called cuento. And
Cuento.
Because we are Filipino, we really wanted to emphasize storytelling. And we just wanted to put it into, just the name of everything. And because how we started this podcast was literally me just driving, thinking like, man, I need to talk to some people because I've been stuck in quarantine like everyone else. And so I was just like, yo, I just miss talking to people and hearing their story. And so this is how the podcast started. And of course, I had to call up one of my boys who I know is one of the other ones that talks the most. And I'm like, yo, you can't have a podcast with one person who talks and the other one who doesn't. And so I was just like, let me just get another person who can talk. And so I got Dom to come through. But welcome, like I said, to everyone joining us for the first time, because this is our first podcast. I guess video, audio
that we are going to be releasing out there.
Yeah,
because
hopefully this works.
Mga kapatid, mga kababayan, we speak Tagalog here too as well, and French a little bit probably.
Just prochaine station.
If you guys are from Montreal, you know what we mean. And because it's third time's a charm, brother.
Right.
So this time. We are doing this for the art, for the love, and actually just to have conversations with a lot of people, and also to we're doing this also because I believe and I think that we have our voices haven't been heard, I guess, with a lot, because we are very opinionated. I mean, the world is very opinionated nowadays. But just to give out and spread our views and our POV,
And also we're trying to just, give out some positivity and some just okay conversation. I'm not saying the conversations will be like the most deep and like, like essential kind of conversations, but I'm like, hey, you know what? I think it's just nice to have just, people talking just themselves and just being real as much as they can be. And so that's really the point of this. But for those of you who are listening and who don't know us, why don't we just talk about ourselves a little bit for the first part of this podcast? Do you want to go first or should I go first?
Sure. I mean, I could go first.
Go
so,
first,
ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dom. I was born and raised in the Philippines, in Manila. If you guys are listening sa Pilipinas, hi mga kapatid, mga kababayan. Ako po ay Filipino, I'm Filipino. And grew up there. Grew up there. I came here when I was 17. I pretty much I I turned 18. I became legal here in terms of when you can get to the club or get stuff that you can't get when you're not legal. And I've been loving it. Living in Montreal. Uh, Third language is pretty much French and but culture shock. And I'm an artist and also a host, an actor, and that's who I am today. We don't know who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Hmm, interesting. So yeah, that's Dom. My name is JP. I'm not gonna give you the full name just because it's too long. But born and raised in Canada, specifically Montreal, where me and Dom met. Um, and yes, even though I am, born in the soil of Canada, I still speak Filipino. So shout out to my parents for introducing me to the culture at a very young age. But obviously, my first go-to language is English. I do speak a little bit of French, not the best, but I try. And yes, I disappoint a lot of Canadians, but hey, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. But yeah, I'm just I'm an all around kind of guy. I'm into a lot of so many different things like comics, movies, music. Yeah. And so I don't know what, I'm just a simple guy. Honestly, I'm nothing special. I just like talking, really. It's honestly what it is. But yeah, man. So me and Dom met when he said he was 17. And I think I was like, what, 15?
Probably 14, I would say.
Yeah, I was pretty young. And so like
Yeah.
our friendship didn't bloom until like years later. Like we met and we hung out. We were in the same like youth group in church and stuff like that. But we never really were like tight until like I'd say 17, 18, my age. Um, just because like how life is. You meet people and you realize that some people are just not the type of people you want to vibe with, and then some people you are, and then you just click, right? As you get older. So me and Dom clicked yeah, like a couple years after we hung out. But I remember the first time we met. I remember the first time we met. Man, this guy looked totally not anymore, but he looked similar, just a little bit younger when we first met, and he had like long curly hair, and like all I remember, this guy was just pulling out Filipino jokes one after the other, and I was just dying. That's all I remember. That's really all I remember. We were in someone's basement, and we're just like, this guy was just wouldn't stop telling jokes, and I was just like, yo, this guy is funny. But yeah, man. And then that's how our friendship.
Oh, I think I remember that too. What's crazy about the friendship that we have, and also the in general, is that when you get older or when you mature, I don't know if you noticed before when you were younger, high school, going to college, you have so many people in your life. And
Right,
it's
right,
just like,
right.
oh, you want to hang out. You have a lot of different groups that you hang out with. But when you mature and you get to experience life, you get to have a core um, people. Core friends,
Yeah, yeah.
and those are the ones that you go to in times of problems, in times of hardships and whatnot, and just you vibe. And what's crazy is that Jonathan right here
Man,
is
I
in
said I
Alberta,
said no.
man.
I said no government names. This guy pulled
I
up.
didn't. I didn't say the last. I didn't say the
Yo,
last name.
I
JP.
literally introduced myself as JP, and this guy said Jonathan. Whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Continue. Continue.
So JP here is in Alberta right now,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm currently in Montreal, and it's just crazy. Thank you, man, for inviting me to become a part of this. My ring light turned off, so we're gonna go closer. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this podcast. I actually have been wanting for a long time. It's just been an idea in my mind to have a podcast of my own, being
Right.
influenced by a lot of people um, in my life, my friends, and I wanted to do a podcast about interesting people. I mean, I remember I met being an extra for one of not a film, but a TV series, a kids TV series. I mean, just being there is a different story because I
Okay.
was the oldest person.
All right,
Dude,
yo,
I
we're gonna get
came.
into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys know the world of entertainment, of just being a background extra, you get all these calls from if you're into that, you try to get calls. And I got a call, and they go, "Oh, would you want to be a background extra for a kiddie show?" And
Can you
right
say the
about
name?
I forgot. It's like Academy something Academy. Okay, it's a Canadian show,
Okay.
and they do like gymnastics there and whatnot. So I got it because it's a kiddie show. I had to shave. I had to look young, but coming in, I already knew that I was the oldest person in the building.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of people are looking at me, and this was the craziest thing. They go, "Oh, hi, sorry, I'm sorry. I just want to know right away because I'm really curious. How old are you?" So I said we're not saying any ages now. So we're past 20 at this time, and then he goes, "Oh, my gosh," because I thought you were 18. I was like, "Okay."
Yes, because it's the Asian glow, you know, it's the Asian
It's the
skin.
Asian, the
Asian
Asian
don't
glow.
reason.
I don't know what I did that day, but I looked 18 apparently, and I met going to this. Moving on to the story, I met this girl. I think she was around 18.
Yo, hold on. Your
She
audio is
looked
cutting up, bro.
young,
Yeah, you're lagging a little
and
bit.
we got to talking,
Yo, you're lagging a little bit, bro. Actually, no, a lot. But
she's
hey, folks, that's technology for
the
you. I'm gonna
one
just wait until this guy gets back somehow, some
type.
way.
You get what I'm saying?
Nah,
Like
bro,
she's
I
the
don't
one
get what you're saying. You're cutting up. Oh, this is funny.
never
For the first
met
podcast, we're already having some
anyone.
technical difficulties, and this guy is still
Yo,
trying to talk.
I
Yo,
you're frozen, brother.
no, you're frozen. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, this is the funniest. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna just keep it just because I already introduced it, and we're gonna say, like, we took it as like, yo, we're gonna keep it real. And so this is the reality of sometimes of our technology. Though we're able to connect. Oh, he just dipped. Though we're able to connect and still, like, communicate with people, sometimes communication, there's a barrier, and unfortunately today that's happening right now, with us. So we're gonna take a quick little break until Dom comes back, and then we're gonna get right back into the conversation. I'll see you guys in a little bit. And we're back. Finally figured out our internet connection problem here. So Dom,
And
what was the story you were saying?
so
Something about
yeah, so
age or whatever.
so I was there, and I met this girl, and I spoke to her, and apparently she works for a movie company where she's the one who makes the subtitles.
Okay.
She's the one who jots down. I've never met anybody in the industry like that, like anybody in my life. And I'm like, how does that go? Because I thought that it was kind of automated in a way where
Right.
they receive, they hear the conversation, the monologue in the movie or TV series, and then it just automatically scans it again my ring light, and it turns into subtitles. But
Right.
no, people actually do it. And she told me that for a 2 minute conversation, it takes her 2 hours to make the subtitles because it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Even the even the size,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
all those things, and it has to be perfect. But the funny thing is that you watched a movie where the subtitles wrong.
Right. Right.
So she
So
actually she
she's
was
to blame. She's to blame.
she's to blame, whoever you are.
Right,
But
right,
it came in my mind. I was like, no one, I don't know, I probably haven't searched it or saw it in video,
right.
uh, that nobody has ever spoken about working as a subtitlist. I guess that's what they're called. So
But that's the
yeah,
thing,
very
like,
interesting.
what they say, like, um, you know, how like a good production is when you don't know what's actually happening, like behind the scenes. right?
Right.
Like you don't know who's holding the camera. You don't even know, like you don't even realize the amount of things that goes on, like the guy holding the microphone and stuff like that. And like, you
Man.
know, all as an audience, all we really see is like the final product.
Right.
And so it's like it's like you said, like it's interesting to see that like there is a part of the industry where like things like subtitles are you know done by people, and like you're right, there are some subtitles where I'm like, yo, that's not what they said. And it's funny because like it's usually when they're translating, right? They're translating
Right.
and whatnot. Like I remember there was this one I forgot, it was either a movie or a TV show that I was watching, and it was about a Filipino guy, or like the character is Filipino and he goes and he speaks Tagalog.
Right.
And the subtitle says something totally different from what he was saying. But the thing is, obviously, because I understand, I was just like, huh? That's not right. You know what I mean? And it's just like, maybe it's because like they just Google Translate or whatever. So,
Man, if you watched or if they've watched Constantine with Keanu Reeves,
oh,
I
the
don't know if you've
old
seen
one.
it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
OG. So one of the first scene in the movie, I remember it because the actress is Filipino, and it's a mother and a daughter. So the daughter is being possessed. Okay,
Okay, okay.
so she's
I
being
think I
possessed. I don't know
remember.
if you remember this. And she's like on the bed, and she's like, "Ah!" And then she goes. This is the
Okay,
funny thing. She goes, "Papatayin kita," which
okay.
translates to in English, "I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
kill
kill
you."
you. Yeah,
You know what
right.
the subtitle said? Demonic language. I was laughing my
That's
ass
straight up
out, man.
disrespectful.
I
Speaking
swear.
Tagalog is
You can look it up, man. Guys,
I mean, I feel
if you
like
don't
maybe
believe me,
I feel like maybe it's just because like the person who's doing the subtitles, because maybe like you know the
oh
timeline,
man,
like it was due the next day or something, so it's just like ah demonic.
this is the thing. It's not like when you put the subtitles on. It's just translates it. You know when you don't
Oh,
when you don't understand the language, be
right,
like,
right, right,
oh, they're speaking in Italian or they're speaking in this language. It
right.
just says demonic language. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh
But I
man,
mean, I don't know what happened. That
right, right.
probably
We
the
never know.
director said something. Oh, say something like this. I don't know. I mean, I don't judge when it
Right.
comes to
We
that.
don't know what's
Yeah.
happening behind the scenes, you know. That actually reminded me of this thing that's been going around social media, at least in the Filipino community, where there was an excerpt from a TV show. I'm not gonna name names, but basically there was a non-Filipino character speaking to a quote unquote Filipino, and the
Right.
non-Filipino character is speaking Tagalog. And it was
Oh, I
funny.
think I know this show.
We don't have to name the names,
Right.
but for those who
Right.
know, you know. But it's funny because like the non-Filipino actor is speaking better Tagalog than the Filipino actor. And I was just like, hold on, what the heck? And it's weird
Damn.
because I feel like in the industry, or here's the thing, I'm speaking from outside of the industry. I'm not in
Wait,
it, so I don't know. But
hold on? Are you talking about an American show
yeah,
or
yeah,
a
yeah. It was
Filipino
like
show?
it
Okay.
was an American show.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
outside of you know the Philippines and whatnot.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm not from the industry. I don't know anything about the industry really, but it was
Right.
just it made it seem like they just wanted to make sure that they were trying to make all the variables correct. Like oh,
Right.
like this Filipino guy has to be able to speak his culture, right? And I'm like, that's cool. That's culture, you know, representation. But I feel like couldn't you have tested if this person can actually speak? You know what I mean?
I mean, even if you, brother, I've auditioned for something like that,
Right,
and
right,
it says that you'd have to know for like the difficulty level, I guess, if you're intermediate or fluent in another language.
right,
So if I know that I'm not going to be able to do it, I'm not going to do it. Even if I like rollerblading, I'm an amateur, like a super amateur in rollerblading. Do I put it in my resume? Yes. But if it says that you gotta be able to do flips, I'm like, I'm not gonna go do that. You know?
but I feel like that's you. You know, I get it. Like from what I've heard and what I've seen, like, you know, being an actor is hard, right? Like all these different auditions, and some people are just like, after being rejected so many times, like they'll just grab any opportunity, right? So, yo, shout outs to that guy for trying, you know, represent the culture
You gotta tell
still.
me. You gotta tell me after the show. After
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link. But I'm just like, it's cool though. At the end of the day, like at least our culture is being put out there. At least people are talking about Philippines. Because here's the thing, man. Growing up, being born in Canada, no one knew what Filipinos were until like maybe later in the 2000s. Like I remember going to kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, like most of my elementary life, no one knew what
right.
Filipinos were or where they were from, like what part of the continent. At least from where I was, I can only speak for myself. And so I remember I was just like having to describe what Filipinos were. I would always have to say like, oh, we were that, like I would always be like, oh, we're the people that's in the hospital. we're the nurses there. That's all of those people that you see who take care of you. Those are all Filipinos,
Right.
And stuff like that. And I just remember like now, right, looking back at like just all the things that's going on. Like all of a sudden, Filipinos are starting to gain some traction, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. What we're able to do and stuff like that.
You know who's actually the hero when it comes to being able to be known, especially in North America,
Right.
for Filipinos, it's Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao led the way, especially you're talking about 2000s, right?
Right. Right. Right.
It's when he came to the US to fight. I remember because I'm such a big fan. Ledwaba, his first title, it's actually his first fight in the US was
Mhm.
for a title fight. He was an underdog and they
Right.
crushed the dude, man.
Yeah, and
I think
on with one
fourth
hand
or
only,
sixth
right?
round.
Only one
Well,
hand
I
because he
mean,
was
I
like
mean,
strong on the
I
left,
mean,
right?
exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not like he just had one
Right.
hand.
I meant like he was a strong southpaw, right?
Exactly. He didn't know how to use his right hand properly that much,
Yeah,
or
like he
it
didn't have
wasn't
power to it, pretty much.
skillful enough to use it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think he's one of the one who put us in the map. And now, I mean, talking about showbiz, there's so many Filipino actors in Hollywood, mostly half
Right. But here's the thing,
Filipinos.
though. Here's the thing, though, is that Filipinos, we've been in the industry for a long period of time. Like for those of you who don't know, the voice of the singing voice for Mulan is
Mulan.
a famous lady by the name of Lea Salonga, who also
Mm,
was part of Broadway. And so there was this like, Filipino behind the scenes of everything. But there's always this one guy, and I bring him up, and all my friends know, like at least most of the friends that I've been hanging out with know that, like, yo, this
I
is
think I
like
know who you're
my
talking about.
kuya. Shout outs to Dante Basco. I don't know if you're gonna be
Yeah,
listening to this,
I knew
but
you were
bro,
gonna tell
he
that
was the guy who I was just like growing up.
from Hook, right?
Yeah, so Rufio from
Yeah,
Hook and Zuko
yeah,
from Avatar. Growing
yeah.
up, he was like the only Asian, well, at least one of the only Asians I could relate to, just because he was Filipino, and also because like he was a different kind of Filipino. He wasn't like suburbanized, if that's the right word. I'm not trying to be discriminative, being discriminative. I don't even know the English word for it, but I'm not trying to be rude or anything. But like, yeah, he was kind of like he talked like me, at least, because where I grew up, I pretty much grew up like in an environment where hip hop and just the culture of like that kind of soul was around and
Right.
stuff. And so I spoke similarly to Dante, and I remember just like, man, when he was in that role for Take the Lead. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember that
Yes,
song.
I
I mean,
yeah,
that song, that
yeah, yeah.
movie,
With Antonio
Antonio
Banderas. Yeah,
Banderas. Yeah, and I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo, this guy. But the thing is, it's funny. He's not even playing an Asian. He's supposed to be playing a Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Was he?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So okay, so I'm kind of
He does
like,
not look Puerto Rican at all, man.
right. So I'm kind of like the type of guy that if I'm into something, I'll research and like look up stuff. And I remember
Right.
seeing an interview where he was talking about it, and he's like, "Yo, honestly, I don't even know if I did the Puerto Rican right, but I was just like, I just was trying to be as me as I can be." And I was like, "Yo, that's dope.
Right.
That's dope." But side note, because of Netflix, I was able to watch one of the shows that he was in with one of your favorite peoples. He was in a show with Brandy called Moesha, and your
Oh,
boy and
Moesha.
your boy Usher was in there.
Yeah, man.
And
Oh,
so
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool how
Wait,
that turned out.
Dante Basco was there?
Yeah, bro. So Dante in the '90s, bro, he was in like a lot of TV shows. Like either he was part of it or just a guest. And I remember one of my childhood TV shows that in the '90s that I loved was The Fresh Prince. And I remember that one time where he was
He was
dating
there.
bro. He was dating Ashley Banks, and I was like,
Are you
yo,
serious?
yeah. And I was like,
Man,
yo, this
because
guy.
honestly, I haven't seen Fresh
No,
Prince.
bro.
To be
Bro,
honest with you.
I've been a diehard Fresh Prince fan since I was like, I can even remember it. Cause like, shout outs to my mom. She was the one who introduced it to me, man. Like, she loved
But
Will Smith growing up. Like, well, at least when she came to Canada, cause like, yeah, that's where she first saw it.
oh man,
And then when I
he's
was
a go.
born, like we would watch reruns. And even now, like if it's on TV, we'll talk about it and stuff. But yeah.
Right now, one of my inspirations, in terms of acting, and representing the culture of being Filipino is I'm so bad because I really love this dude. If you guys watch Ratchet, it's on Netflix. Man,
I might have to
can
watch
you
it. I might have to watch it.
can you research it right now? Because I know
Right now,
you do that
let
right.
me
Yeah, yeah.
let me
The
see.
Ratchet. He's Filipino. I forgot his name. I'm sorry, man, but
Hold up.
he's such
This
a
guy's gonna be
great
calling out people that he doesn't
actor.
even remember.
I'm sorry, man.
Oh, wait,
Uh,
Ratchet. I know what you're talking about.
the
He's
doctor, the doctor.
yeah. He was yeah, he's a doctor. I forgot his name.
He's a
But
doctor.
I think if I'm not
He
mistaken, he was also in Miss Saigon with Lea Salonga.
Yes, Les
Okay,
Salonga, and
so we know who we're talking about.
he's
Ratchet.
such a great actor. And what's crazy is that if I'm not
His
mistaken,
name is John
he
John.
John Briones,
Yes.
sir, kung nakikinig man kayo, sir, kasi nagtatagalog si Sir John Briones, you are such a
An
great
inspiration. Yeah.
inspiration to a lot of Filipinos. I mean, to me, and I love one of his roles, big roles. I think killing was it Versace, something like that. He's one of he's a dad too, and his son. Shout out to his son. He's in Ratchet as well, and
Oh, it's dope.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
a lot of Filipinos now that are in Hollywood. Uh, I think Brandy and when she was Cinderella.
Yeah, bro. So that just came out on Disney
Was it
Plus.
wasn't the leading
The guy
man
was
Filipino?
Filipino too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there
You know
you
what's
go,
funny?
man.
Since we're talking about this, I know this is kind of like I don't know. It's part of the subject, I guess. That was actually
Right,
the first Cinderella movie I've seen. I saw that before the cartoon that Disney brought
me too,
out.
me
That
too.
was actually the first one. And so when I saw the cartoon version of it, I was like, this is not what I thought it was gonna be. You know, because
I have to
like
rewatch
I
it.
was expecting some like music where it's just like where Brandy and Whitney are like going at it, and I was like, wait, this is not the same one. And I realized it was like, oh, because this is a different you know retelling of the story. So I was like, all right, cool.
That was
But
that was the that was
bro,
the good
that was
stuff.
my jam, man. So side note, like I said, like I'm a person who likes a lot of different things, and I for a while I was a closeted musical child. I loved musicals. I just never really talked
Yeah,
about it, just because like you know people made fun of me. Honestly, people made fun of me for liking like other musicals and
there you
stuff,
go.
and so. But going back to that Cinderella one, man, I really enjoyed that. Like that was one of my favorite like childhood. I still have it at home back in Montreal where my parents' place.
I'm talking
Um,
about VHS or
yeah, Zero, we have
VCD.
it on VHS, the classic
Yes.
VHS. And to this day, man, like when it came out on Disney Plus, I watched it as soon as I could. It was just so good. It was just, I love it, man. Like what was that song? Impossible for yeah, I don't sing, so that's your job. That's your job.
I gotta rewatch it. I
Oh, you
mean,
should. You should.
growing up because I grew up in the Philippines, we were actually, if you guys haven't been to the Philippines is very heavily into, um, we are very much easily influenced by the North,
Mhm.
actually. So a lot of
Mean
people,
not mean north,
um,
mean the west,
I mean, sorry, the West,
right? Because if you look
talk about
north, that's
North
ah.
America,
I see.
specifically specifically the U.S. Um,
Specifically,
all it, all, specifically,
Esposito. All right, Despacito.
yeah, the specifically the U.S.
Right.
All I know about Canada was Toronto.
Really?
Wh- I swear, when I was in fourth grade, I didn't know how to spell Canada. I spelled it with a K.
I mean,
I'm
it's because in
not
the Philippines,
lying.
bro, in the Philippines, we don't have the letter C, so that makes
Yes,
sense.
we don't. But I mean, in the English language, I'm learning
Right.
about it already. But I was like, how do you spell Canada? And I was unsure of how to spell Canada, and I spelled it with a K. So us, we're very heavily on hip hop. Remember when the Seawalk came out?
Of course, we all
The
did.
okay, we didn't call it Seawalk, we called it the Crip Walk.
Well, isn't
Um,
that what the C stands for?
yeah, I know, but I back then I didn't know it called Seawalk, and everybody's like, "Yo, son!" Everybody was sagging. Everybody had sagging clothes.
It's funny because like all you see right in the videos for the Seawalk videos, it's the feet. No one sees the upper because everyone in the upper is like this.
What was the song with Master P? It's like rock to the rock to the rock to the rock.
Oh man, there were so many.
Oh man, if you guys are 2000 sorry, 90s babies to 2000
Two thousands,
kids,
two thousands, yeah.
yeah, 2000s for sure,
Oh
heavy.
man. Speaking of that, it just brought me back to the times where like everybody was trying to get into dance, specifically like hip hop dance, because the 2000s was the time when like Step Up came out, You Got
Yeah.
Served,
No, you
Stomp the
got served
Yard.
was the one with the first one. Yeah.
That's your boy. That's your boy. Oh Maria.
Maria.
That's your boy.
What are the dancing inspirations,
This one.
man? Yo, when you listen, when you come back, we gotta watch it together.
Of course.
Yeah, we gotta sag our pants.
Bro, man, I haven't sagged my pants since 2012, man. I've been grown.
No
Bro, I've been
way.
grown, man. I've been trying
I
to.
sag.
The only reason why I
Yeah,
sagged was because at that
probably.
time, it was a cool thing. But then as I started to like, try to be more professional, trying to be more, sophisticated, I stopped doing it. But
I mean, it's
yeah,
not as comfortable as it looks.
no,
I'm just,
on the real though, it is
um,
comfortable.
really?
It is,
No,
bro. Sagging your pants is comfortable.
brother. It depends on how low you sag your
No,
pants.
but here's
Because
the thing:
I've seen
the way
some.
I used to do it is that under my pants, I was always wearing shorts. All right.
Yeah,
And if you wear shorts with your pants regular fit, it's gonna bunch up in the insides. So having it sag was always like a comfort thing. And also like the only reason why I was wearing shorts was because at the time, for me at least, basketball was like you never know if you're
right.
gonna get challenged or something or if you're gonna play. So you gotta always be ready, you know.
Hold on, you were wearing like boxer shorts or like basketball
No,
shorts?
basketball shorts, bro.
Did you have underwear
Yeah, yeah,
underneath
yeah,
your
yeah.
basketball? Oh my gosh, I did that too.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna wear nothing under my
No,
my
because
shorts.
usually now that I know, 'cause in the Philippines, all the only underwear that I know or I knew were briefs. That's it.
Really?
That's what I
Okay.
wear then. That's what I wear
I
now.
mean, I used
But
to wear briefs too.
man, when I can't, I did. I sorry, I never sagged my pants just wearing briefs because that's not just.
Yo, I can imagine. Like, okay, I
You
know
know,
we're getting a little
okay,
R-rated here, but it's like,
it's not really R rated, but I'm
it's
just
like,
saying, the other side
it's
of
like
your
this,
thing,
and then your legs show.
you have the you have the thing right.
Okay, if you guys are hearing the audio, I recommend you guys watch this on YouTube so that you can see our attempt to illustrate with our hands.
Illustrate.
But
This is the side, by the way. So these are the pants. Okay, they're the
okay,
side.
okay.
Okay, okay. This is the side of your leg, which is the brief, because it just
Okay.
is
Yeah.
it concave or convex? I'm really bad at this. It's concave, right? It's
Bro, I didn't do
concave,
good at math.
something like that. So, I actually tried it once. I'm not gonna lie to you,
Nah,
but
bro. The thing
yeah,
is, like, yeah, no, I liked boxers more. No, let me rephrase that. I like boxer briefs just because it gives the same feeling of briefs, but
briefs.
not, but a little bit more fabric, so it doesn't ride up your the moon.
Yeah, because you just feel loose. You know what I'm saying? You just
Okay, we gotta change the subject here. But on the side note, I do enjoy all types of garment, and so if there's anyone out there who wants to sponsor our podcast, hey
man,
man,
brother,
I
you reached.
appreciate
This is
all
the first
kinds.
episode. You're already reaching.
Hey man,
Man,
we,
even
we gotta we gotta do something, you know?
listen, they sponsor us like paper clips. I'll do that, man. I'll promote paper clips to the max.
Yo, I'm down, yo. But yeah, just oh man, 2000s was, I think, when it came to just like exploration of culture. I think 2000s was the year where like you could just try, and if the results didn't turn out the way it did, then it was all good. Because I feel like now when people try to do different things, it's always like we have to walk on eggshells, right? We got to make sure
Yeah,
that we don't offend someone. We got to make sure that this and that. And I think honestly there is benefits to it. Like, obviously we got to respect different cultures. But in
right.
the same time, like anything, too much barriers can actually prevent growth, and stuff like that. But in the
Amen.
same time, like I'm, in,
I
I'm
second that.
honestly in the middle. I'm honestly like I don't have a stance on each side, but I feel like like there are certain things that you don't have to cancel, and there are certain things that you should. Right? There are certain things like that. But going back to 2000s, man, like for me at least, that's obviously I was born in like the late 90s. Like I'm not gonna say numbers, but beyond 95, right? I mean, no,
Right.
before 95, sorry. Not beyond,
Okay.
before
Okay.
95. And
Okay.
like obviously, so my childhood started really where I can remember was in the early 2000s, right? And it's funny, man, like a lot of the early 2000s stuff to today still resonates within me. Like I still, a lot of it's still there.
I mean, in terms of fashion, it actually comes back. A lot of people now, I guess 2010s or 2008, it was the hot year for skinny jeans.
Yes.
Like skinny jeans. I've worn skinny jeans where you can actually see the
Bro,
numbers of my credit card. You know what I mean?
bro,
Like
your
that.
skinny jeans were not skinny jeans, my guy. They were leggings for men.
I check my bank account. I'm like, why am I missing $50? And like people could see the numbers of my credit card through my skinny
You're
jeans.
so dumb.
But but now a lot of people are wearing straight cuts with the
And I appreciate it. I
bandana.
really like
I
it
love
now.
it. I love it. I love it.
I
Me
feel
too.
like everyone's going back to clothes being about comfort rather than like, you know, the trend. I guess comfort is the trend again. That's really what it is.
Yeah, baggies and not I guess not the triple XL because I've never done that. The most I've
You're
done was
missing out,
like
bro.
an XL, depending on the cut of the item.
Right.
But I've never, people have done triple XL.
Yeah, of
Skinny
course,
people have
man.
done, yeah, crazy.
Bro, is actually comfy. It's like not wearing clothes while you're wearing clothes, if that makes sense. I'm speaking only because I used to do that. Like I used to be the guy who wore a t-shirt under a t-shirt just so that it peeks out a little bit. So I used to wear an oversized white tee
Oh, okay,
and then a
okay,
less
okay,
but similar length of different colored tees to kind of
okay.
add a flavor. And then I throw in like, your basketball sweatbands and then your your wristbands and stuff like that. Yo, man, that was the vibe. That was the vibe.
Right. I know we've spoken about this before. When we, our two attempts
Right, right.
of making this podcast, and I hope this actually passes through. Speaking into existence.
Hopefully,
Uh,
hopefully.
we spoke about the styles that you've went through the years. Were you ever now realizing what you've worn before? I guess embarrassed or ashamed of whatever style you've done in the past.
At the moment, no. When you're in the moment and you're living in the moment, you don't really think about it just because like, this is dope. This is my style. But looking at it now, I'm like, what was I thinking? It's gross. Okay, so the one I think about the most, where I'm like, man, I wish I could just go back and help this boy, was
Burn,
where
burn, 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 burning clothes, yeah.
it's not even burn this clothes. It's just show him how to properly just You know what? Yeah, burn them, burn them. Was I used to rock, and this is back when like, when what's his name? Kanye West would wear the pink polos, right? You remember that? Where he would rock
Yeah.
the teddy bear and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like right before the shade, maybe around the same time where he
The
got
shutter shade.
the shutter shades, right? I remember like I thought I was the coolest when I used to wear like those kind of polos and then some baggy jeans. Um, but here's the thing, because I grew up a very conservative Christian, I still had to keep it like, presentable. And so
You had
sometimes,
to tuck it
man,
in.
yeah, no, okay, no, not tuck it in, but some like I would have to get a fitted, one, like a fitted one that fit my size, really. And then the pants were the ones that was baggy. So it just didn't look right. And then my hair. So I'm not gonna complain because my hair right now looks ugly. That's why I'm wearing a hat. But my hair at that time, at that age, first of all, there was no line whatsoever. There's no line up whatsoever. And then only the front was spiked. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
you're
that
doing
one.
the no. I know what you know what it's called. The Oasis.
No, it wasn't even the
That's
Oasis. The
what it's called. The
Oasis, right?
Oasis.
It was
Because it
kind
goes
of
like
like
that,
it was
right?
kind of curved up. This was
Yeah.
like porcupine. This was like straight
Okay.
up like maybe 3 or 4 strands of hair just peeking like that. Man, it's only now where you're doing construction. That's what happens when you live in an apartment, people. Anyways, but yeah, so I just, man, like if I could just go back in time and just really help him. The thing is, I'm not a fashionista or like a fashion, person, but I just like, at least now I understand color. I don't know if you guys are
Right.
catching that. That's really just annoying. But I'm just a proud person who's able to at least, keep it for uniform, right? If you're gonna go baggy on top, go a little bit baggy in the bottom, just so that it balances out. But man,
Right.
man,
Right.
young me.
You don't want to look like Johnny Bravo. Or Johnny
Unfortunately, my
Bravo has
body
like
my body looks like Johnny Bravo, bro. I got a heavy top, skinny legs. I gotta
I
work on
don't know.
that still. How about you, bro?
I,
What was yours?
I don't think I've ever been embarrassed with any of my because at
Oh
that
man.
time at that moment it's just like you were there and you thought that this was hot. I think the only outfit that I dread now is this when I came here. So I came here 2008.
All right.
So I was 17 years old. Don't do the math, please don't. Don't pull out your calculator. Uh,
It's too late.
so I remember, I came here when it was December. So my ring light came up again. It was December, and I was waiting for summer,
Okay.
right? And I was telling my friends here, like, yo, I can't wait for summer. It's like, why? I can't wait to rock a t-shirt, skinny jeans, and chinelas, which is flip flops. So I was telling them that I was like, they were like, what are you talking about? Yo, it's the summer outfit. You know what I'm saying? You just have that. And I used to have this pouch that I always had in my chest.
Yes, with your cell phone
That
in
was
it. I
that was
remember that.
Oh, you remember that? It's called sundang. It was a Filipino made with coconut. I remember that because I loved that thing and I wore it everywhere. I put my cell phone, I put my anything there, right? And it was one of the gifts of one of my best friends in the Philippines gave it to me as a souvenir. I don't know where it is now, probably gone, but yeah, that was my outfit, man. I think that's the only outfit
And the thing
that I
is,
think
man,
that I would go back and just put
those
some shoes
sandals,
on.
or those chinelas wasn't anything special. They weren't the Birkenstocks or the Nike slides or
No,
Adidas
they
slides or
weren't.
even the
They
Gucci slides.
weren't.
They were
They weren't.
the Havanas,
Yeah,
the
the
one with
Havaianas. You
the
talking
foot
about
like
Havaianas?
this, yo, and then you put your foot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With the tongue,
I
you talking
re-
about the tongue? Yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. I think okay, maybe not you, but I just remember what it looks like in my head vividly. Where it's just like it's the green sole with the yellow straps.
Oh,
I
not
don't
okay.
know if that's
That's
the one that you
that,
had, but I
that's
remember like
that.
that's the one. When I think of chinelas, that's what I think of because I
So
think that's
in
the
the
one that's been
Philippines,
thrown at me more.
so that's the cheap version. I got the mall version, by the way. So the one that you're talking about is the wet market version. It's the palengke version.
Right,
We call
right.
it Spartan sa Pilipinas. So it's called Spartan, and it's the one that you get whipped with. Okay,
Yes, because it was
it's the
light,
one that you
aerodynamic,
slap.
and
Oh
precise. If you
man,
had a person who could just Mm.
You can bend it like this, and it won't even crack.
Yeah,
It's
and
so sturdy.
man, I remember. Okay, not to because everyone is very sensitive. Trigger warning. But when I was a kid, I used to get beat. And
Get
the
whooped.
yeah, man, I used to get whooped in the bum with the chanelas, and like the way it was, man, is that it will hit you, but because it bends, it stays there. So it's like you get hit. It's like it stays in that area, and then it bounces back. And I was like, man, I remember that hurt. I hurt.
Oh man, I think the worst material or thing that I got whooped with that I dread was probably the belt. The belt. I got the belt. I don't know if you got the belt. So
No,
I got
I got
Canela.
everything, bro. Anything
I
that my
got
parents
flip
could reach.
flops. I got belt. I got oh my lolo. My grandfather was the worst. He used to beat me with a stick. You know the broom broomstick.
Wait, what kind of
Okay.
broomstick? Like the American broomstick or the Filipino
No,
broomstick?
no, no. The
A Wally
Filipino
Sting thing?
broomstick. No, not the Ting Ting. It's the different one. The broomstick
What's
is different from the Ting Ting.
what's
So the
that
Ting
one?
Ting, ladies and gentlemen, the Ting Ting, it's pretty much like shards or shreds of I believe coconut. So they make it and they put it. It's like a hair tie. They put it into a
So
tie,
it's like a
and
fishtail.
you Google it. What is Ting Ting? Okay, Ting Ting Ting, and I did never because that one probably I would probably have PTSD right now if I had that. But so far, no.
What's the one where it's literally just a bunch of sticks tied together?
That's what I'm saying. That's the
That's the
Ting
Wally
Ting.
Sting thing. So then what's the one
Yes.
with the one where it's just like it's a
Oh,
handle
that's
and then
Tambo. That's Tambo.
tambo. Okay, that's the one I was thinking
Yeah,
about. But
I
yeah, I
got
got beat
that
by the
too.
Wally Sting thing too. Oh man. But here's the thing though, even though we had like traumatic childhoods, like yo, I still love my parents. My parents, shout outs to you guys. You guys, pretty much raised me. So yeah, love you guys. If you're
Pretty much
listening,
right.
I mean, I was raised not only by my parents too, like I had like other
Oh,
family
because of your
members.
tita,
Yeah,
of
and
your
then I
yes,
had like church members and stuff too who like took care of me and stuff. And so I was raised by a
right,
lot of people. But for the
right.
most part, like a lot of like my core values was like obviously my family, right? Um, but since we're bringing up like just Filipino things, why? And maybe you can help me with this. Why
Okay.
is it that we like to name things? Um, I don't even know how to formulate
Hmm.
this question, but why do we like to name things and then say them twice? Like, for
Oh,
example,
you
what
mean
listing ting, or
yeah?
or I don't know. I can't think of other examples, but like, you know,
I mean, just for example, Sir John Briones. Why wasn't he just named John Briones? Right? Probably it's a nickname because usually it's a nickname. You can't just name somebody like Alicia. That
right,
won't
right.
that won't fit. I guess it's just the culture. I have to Google this, by the way.
Okay.
I'm not an
So, if
expert when
any
it
of you
comes to
guys
names.
listening who know the story on why we stutter when we when we give names, please
Yung
let us know.
ting ting yung
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's what it
ting.
was, right? Maybe that's what it was. Like someone
Probably.
was like, some kid was getting like really annoying, so the parents were like, "Akin na yung ting ting, yung akin na yan." And I just
Yeah.
hit you,
I remember I used to have a shout outs to her. I don't know if she's gonna listen to this, if she's ever gonna see this at all. Her name was Din Din, and she was my my listen.
I'm
Her
sorry.
name was Din Din, right? She was my nemesis when growing up, and
What are
I
you,
was
super
probably
villain?
around 7, 8 years old. Oh man, we
Okay.
would tease each other. We would tease each other like crazy. Name calling. I called her like big lips.
Oh,
Yeah, like she
you're
had big
bustos,
lips.
eh?
So and
She
she would
beat
call
you?
me.
She slap you
She
or
would
something?
call. She would call me like, "Oh, you're so dark," you know. And I was dark. I was a dark kid, and I remember her just going back and forth, and just we had some fist fights too. I'm not gonna
Right.
fist fights too, but yeah, shout outs to her. Talking about malayos or nicknames. Yeah,
Right.
that's one of the examples.
Another thing too
Examples.
is that Filipinos like to name things after what they sound like.
Oh
You ever
hell
experience
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I was like,
Like cough. Oh my gosh, like cough,
yeah, a
right?
cough, obo,
Like, right? like,
or like when you
those
sneeze,
type of things.
aching.
Aching, aching. It's
What?
actually
I think that's just
it,
practical, you know. It's like, what are you gonna name? What are you gonna name that? Uh, aching. Oh, that's good. That's a good name. That's a good name.
right. In my opinion, it's very
So
practical. It's very useful.
dumb.
It's actually easy to.
Oh man, that's so stupid. Woo! Good times. That's the Filipino culture for y'all. We
Yeah,
do
man.
it.
Oh, if you guys haven't been to the Philippines, well, probably right now is not the best time to go there because of the pandemic, right?
Right.
It's an amazing place. Go to the beaches, relax. It's if you're from North America and you have dollars, it's a, cheaper there, so you
Mm-hmm,
get to
mm-hmm.
enjoy more of the luxury of the Philippines in terms of just visiting it, vacationing, and whatnot. And
That's
by the
true.
way, we haven't spoken about it. I hope you guys are well. I go. Everybody who is listening right now are safe because of everything that's been happening around, especially the COVID that we have for a year.
Yeah, man. It's
It's
been a
been
year.
more than a year. It's been more than a year
No, no, no.
since the
It's
since
been
the
a
first
year and a few
lockdown.
days. It's been a year, a
The
few
first,
days.
yeah, yeah, since the first lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man.
That's crazy,
How did
man.
you how did you deal with that?
Ooh, man. I guess I dealt with it okay. I really took it as more of like since everything's in pause because like everything when the lockdown first started, like everything was just as if it was a ghost town. At least here where I was, like I would be like driving, and like no one would be on the streets. Now like everyone's kind of just like at that point we're like, all right, like let's just get this over with. You know, I
Right.
got I got better things to do. But like in the beginning, everyone didn't know what was happening. I feel like till this day, not a lot of people know still. But like in the beginning, like nothing was happening, and so um, it was tough at first, like honestly, especially me being like an extrovert where I need people for energy and stuff. And I just like I love having people around and whatever. But then like obviously because of COVID, you can't have that. And so that took a
Right.
huge toll on me. But like, I appreciate all my good friends who really was like, hey, like use this time wisely. Like we would always talk about like how like um use this kind of as a productive moment to work on yourself so that when reality comes back you're a better version of who you were. And I really took that to heart, man. I really was just like, all right, let me just sit down and just critically think about me. And that's
Right.
kind of selfish, but like in the same time it's like at that moment the only person you could take care of is you. And so I really was like I tried my best to keep mentally sane and like keep my mental health up in there. um you
Right.
know but overall, man, like I think, and this is kind of controversial, but if I were to go back in time and if I could have avoided the pandemic, I wouldn't. And here's why. Here's why. Only for the reason, obviously, like, the deaths and like, everyone getting sick is
Right.
rough. But like if that was not included in in the going back part, I would go back just for the sake of like the amount of growth I've experienced within the past year. I've grown so much more as a person, or at least I feel like myself. I've learned to appreciate myself. I learned to love myself a little bit more, to forgive myself a little bit more within the past year than if I were to compare to the other years that I've lived, really. Because with everything going on, like you just forget sometimes about what is the most essential, right? Like you forget about like taking care of yourself. You're so focused on taking care of other people and their needs and their wants that you forget about like, hey, you're an individual too. Like you have passions and you have things that you wanted to try. And so yeah, for me, it was always, I took it as a really good thing. But don't get me wrong, there were days last week, I had days where like I just was out of it. I just wasn't feeling it. So it really was kind of like a roller coaster, not to get too deep into it, but it was a roller coaster and I enjoyed the ride. I still do. or at least I try to. I'm trying to be positive here, okay? Think happy thoughts,
We're,
happy thoughts, happy thoughts.
well, hopefully it's almost over because I mean I've gone through the year two, which was which was great. You actually try to be um well, speaking of from personal experience, I was kind of laid back. I was like relaxed because I thought that it was going to be 2 weeks,
Yep, we all
tops,
did.
like maximum a month, right? So I was ready. I was like, okay, so this is kind of like a vacation, a pause, rest. But we didn't know that it was going to be that long. I mean, here in Montreal, everything opened around June, and so that's why I guess in a way, until now, it's still kind of strict because we have a curfew. At that point, a lot of people were burnt out from being at home. Be like, oh, we want to go out, so everybody was out, and they did what they did, had fun and whatnot. And so now the COVID rates, the people that were getting affected, went up.
Right.
But then it was okay. I actually had fun with it. I just hope that I was more productive, like more productive for the time that was given to us.
Right.
But yeah, I learned a lot too. I learned that we do not need a lot of stuff. You wear pretty much the same thing every day in quarantine. You wear like one pair of shoes. If you're a type of
Hmm.
person, like myself, I have a lot of shoes and jackets too. You wear like what, tops, two jackets going out. It's because you pretty much wear all these stuff just to kind of show out and feel good about yourself. And if you like fashion and style,
Yeah.
you'd have a lot of these stuff. But essentials. That's why I guess that's segueing to the name of the podcast,
Right. Right.
Quintessential. Yeah, it's the essentials that you need, brother.
Hmm. I think too,
And
man. Like this pandemic really showed us that like we are the masters of our own happiness. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you said earlier, like buying clothes so that you look good and make and get like like you feel like people like what you wear and like get that affirmation. Like when the pandemic hit, at least for me, like I really had to find my own affirmation that I was able to affirm myself and who I was. And like, to this day, I'm still learning. I'm still trying. I'm still struggling, still trying, struggling.
struggling.
Struggling. But yeah, man, like I think um, one perspective that I did take away was that like, you know, you need to forgive yourself for the things that you coulda, shoulda, woulda, really, and just kind of like accept that it happened, and then change what you need to so that you can be a better version of yourself tomorrow, really, right? And that's
I
why like
second
when you
that.
said earlier, like it kind of resonated with me a little bit, where like, oh, this is who I am today, but we'll see what happens to me tomorrow.
We don't know exactly.
Exactly. But going into that, and
Tomorrow's not promised.
going into that, because like you said, you're like into the arts, and like both of us when we were younger, we were both into like trying to at least step our foot into like different art forms and whatnot. But like
Right.
I just wanted to know more about like your, like, I guess, art form, because like you're into acting and hosting and all those things. And like my question for you really is like, what was one challenge that um that you saw and that you struggled with when it came to the arts, like what you dealt with?
Um. I mean, I guess I've always, in terms of acting, I've always liked acting. I've always liked imitating what I see. So even cartoons that voices from Stitch to Donald Duck to whatnot. I've always liked it ever since I was a kid. I liked comedy. I wanted to be a comedian on TV,
Hmm.
and now just realizing that I can do this, and it is now my passion. One of the challenges is just, man, dealing with rejection,
Mm.
because in this game, it's a very challenging, it's a very competitive uh, game. Well, it's not a game, but in industry is what I'm talking about.
Right.
And just it's first rejections and second rejections, but then you pretty much deal with the rejections that you get. So now my mindset is the old saying, it goes, do your best, um uh expect the worst but hope for the best.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you're
Yeah.
hoping that you pretty much get this job, but be ready that this might not be for you. And one of the things that I tell myself all the time, that, hey man, if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not for you. It's not for you. If it's for you, there you go. You get it. But
Right. Right.
with a lot of competition, I mean, it's hard. So
No, I believe it,
I'm
man.
just starting in the industry too. So I think that's one of the greatest challenges.
Because
In
I only ask because I feel like, man, one thing that because I've been jumping from different types of art. I started from like trying to make music and going into like making movies and videos. Remember back in the day when I tried to make a
Yeah,
video?
man.
That's one thing I appreciate about
What
you,
was the
though.
name of the character again? The fast one.
The what?
The
Oh man, so
the
that was for a
blue
class project. That was for a class
what's
project.
his name? The blue.
Rush. It was like
Yeah.
yo, that was okay. That's a different
Remember
story.
that.
But like for someone who's been like jumping from different types of arts and stuff like that and trying to like really just stay creative, like it's really hard to find the motivation to create. Like, how do you overcome, like, for example, like the arts version of like a writer's block? And I know
Oh
that that doesn't
man.
really connect with so much about acting because acting, it's like you play a role, right? But like you still want to try to
Yeah.
be you kind of thing, you know?
In a way, in terms of dealing with a character, it's you have to really study the character. I think we've spoken about this before. It's how I approach it is that you want to be able to put your sauce in it. I mean, the way you want to, the way your style in acting
Ah,
is
okay.
what I'm talking about. Your sauce.
Your sauce.
Sorry, I'm too slangish,
I was
but
like your sauce. Like, sorry, I had to remove my my little educated hat here and really get into the moment.
but you want to study the character,
Right.
because once you know the character of that person, you understand who that person really is, and then you can dive into what kind of character is this. Sorry, person that this is. So
Right.
character and then personality goes. I recently auditioned for another drug dealer, by the way. That I, that it's another drug dealer. So so for those who are listening, I got to I guess my biggest break was to be a part of a feature film, a full length film that was spread throughout North America and also the Asia, and also actually Madrid. They actually showed it in Madrid. It's called Purlen. It's French and English and Tagalog. I was one of the three Filipino people in the film, and yeah, that was my biggest break. And he was a drug dealer. So now moving on to being another drug dealer. Yeah, I just like the part. This part is different because he's not tough. He's not cocky. He's actually a nervous kid, but he wants to become more than who he is right now. And so he does it under the table. He kind of um lies about a lot of stuff, but he seems nervous. He seems unstable, and he goes, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I don't know what that is. I don't know what's happening here, but he actually knows. So, which was a pretty fun character to portray.
That's
Well,
cool,
I'm gonna be
man.
portraying. Yeah.
So you got the role for that.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
dope. That's
sir.
dope. Like my thing though, because like I'm not an actor, but like I obviously presume that like you said earlier, like acting is kind of like a game, right? Like anything really. Like how do you stay ahead of the game? Like how do you get like from your experience at least? Because like you're not like some
Yeah,
Hollywood
I'm
celebrity,
not Tom Cruise.
right? Right. But like from your experience, like how have you been like trying to be ahead of like other people who are trying to audition for roles and stuff like that?
Oh, I don't know. I actually the thing about how I approach it is that I don't think about them, because if I do, I'm gonna be, because I'm a type of person who overthinks. So if I think about them, I'm gonna be worrying about my performance,
Right.
where I should just be worrying about my performance, and then I don't know what's gonna happen, because the casting director, if you're gonna audition, if you're passing out
Right.
an audition tape, it's gonna be the casting director's choice who he or she is gonna pick. So my approach is that, man, just focus on the performance that you're going to be doing, you're going to be performing, and hone hone it. And so that's how I approach it. And so if I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I kind of send some audition tapes. If it's an audition tape, to some of my friends, and be like, "Yo, what do you think about this? What do you think about this?" But then, even though they have the same feedback, whatnot, I try to look at it, like replay it a lot of times, and go, "Nah, I can do better. I can do better. I can do better." And then when I'm happy, I'm actually the one who decides which audition tape I'm gonna be sending. Yeah,
How come I never got one of those audition tapes?
I will send you.
Yeah,
I, pro-
right.
I promise. I promise you,
Clearly,
man.
we see where the friendship lies. All right, I see it. But we're running kind of short on time already. But
Yeah, man.
one last thing coming from, because this podcast is about like things that we're passionate about. But like, I just want to ask you, and I guess I can answer it too later. But like, how do you stay passionate about what you do? With everything going, because you said, right, like when you go to auditions and going through rejections and stuff like that, it's easy to kind of just like, you know what, like maybe scrap this
Yeah, I
idea,
give up. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
like how do you stay passionate?
Oh man, I guess when the struggle is real. One of my good friends, Mike Apunya, shout out to you. I know you probably will listen to this. He's a good friend of mine. He actually does podcasts too. He's a host as well as an actor, voice actor.
Right.
And one of the things that he told me was, dude, if this is your passion, if this is what you really want to do, and you love this, and you can't live without this, you gotta be obsessed. So it's one of the things that stuck to me, and I go, man, it's actually true, because at times when you have those rejections, when you receive those rejections, you you think about quitting, but then, hey, man, I mean, I can do this. If they can do it, honestly, I'm not bashing anybody, but some people in the industry cannot do, I guess, a good job, and they're getting paid, right? So, what I think, if they're gonna be there, why can't I be there? I mean, this is my
Right.
passion. I know that I can, and I know my possibilities. I know my capabilities. I know that I'm still learning a lot, and I'm gonna be learning for a lot of years. But I know my possibilities. So just from there, I try to get experience and also inspiration from other people in my life as well. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Well, you heard it here first, everyone. The first ever podcast by your boys Dom and JP. Thank you for
Yes, sir.
listening to the Quintessentials. Where can they find you, bro?
Yeah, y'all can find me on Instagram. It's my handle is at Domzone, which is D0MZONE. Or I
Cool,
think
cool,
it's the
cool.
other way. I think that's it. Yeah.
And then you can find me also on my photography page, which is at Just Cruising, JUSTCRZING. But if you want to hear more about the podcast, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. The links will be provided just because we still haven't really got down to the nitty gritty of this podcast
Right.
because we just wanted to record it and see how it goes. But hope you guys were able to enjoy your time with us. Salamat sa lahat ng all the peoples. Man, my Tagalog just disappeared all of a sudden. As
Damn.
soon as I started speaking, the whole
Like
time I've been
bars.
speaking English. I was gonna say like thank you to everyone
Bars.
who's been listening, and then all of a sudden like I said
Bars.
salamat and then gone,
Bars.
disappeared. But anyways, thank you to everybody. Merci à tous. Thank you. Salamat. Anything in
Yeah,
any other language.
shout out to everybody who's gonna be
Right.
listening, and I hope you guys keep listening to more of the future podcasts that we're gonna be
Yeah.
doing. We're gonna be, it's not just gonna be us, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have some guests to in this podcast. Some interesting guests, and maybe
Very.
you will be one of our guests. We don't
Yeah.
know.
So if any questions, comments, things that you want us to talk about, we're not really people of like super, super high intellect, but we just like to talk. And so we're down to talk about anything really. Just
Yeah.
as long as we try to keep the same positive vibes all the time. But this is your hosts. Thank you so much for listening to Quintessentials. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Ew.